Good morning, students. Today we will be learning about the portrait of a lady, which is written by Khushwant Singh. Now, the chapter deals with how Khushwant Singh draws an interesting portrait of his grandmother. He presents her as a tender, loving, and deeply religious old lady, and his relationship with his grandmother over the years. He pens down her all the daily activities which he had observed about her. So let's move on about the writer and then we'll look into the story. Introducing the author. Khushwant Singh, born in 2nd February 1915, is a prominent Indian English writer and journalist. His weekly column with malice towards one and all, carried by several Indian newspapers, is among the most widely read columns. He is well known in Indian literary history as one of the finest historians and novelists, a forthright political commentator, an outstanding observer, and a critic of social life. Now, Khushwant Singh is one of the best known Indian writers of all times, and he was born in 1915 and he died by 2014. Here we'll also know about the several works he has published, and he is famous for his work Train to Pakistan. Among the several works he published are a classic 2-volume history of the Sikhs, several novels, the best known of which are Delhi, Train to Pakistan, and The Company of Women, and a number of translations and non-fiction books on Delhi, nature and current affairs. The Library of Congress has 99 works on and by Khushwant Singh. Khushwant Singh was a member of the Rajya Sabha of the Indian Parliament House from 1980 to 1986. He was also awarded the Padma Bhushan in 1974 by the President of India in protest against the Union siege of the Golden Temple in Amritsar. He had returned this decoration in 1984. Now let's have a look at Unit 1, Warm Up. Do you enjoy your grandparents' company? Are they good companions? Children grow up with a typical image of their grandparents in their minds. Any other thought is almost revolting to them. Read the following unit of the text carefully and note how the writer portrays his grandmother. It is obvious that children, they love their grandparents more. They prefer the company of their grandparents to the company of their parents. You know why? Because they cover for your mistakes. They become the provider. They become your protector. Moreover, they are the storehouse of wonderful stories they make. No matter in whatever emotion you are, be it sad, be it happy, they are the one who are the very immediate neighbor to you, to listen to all your stories, to listen to all your problems, and they come out with wonderful solutions too. Their lives is also full of imagination like the children they do, beyond boundaries. Now let's look at the text. Here Khushwant Singh speaks. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. People said that she had once been young and pretty and had a husband, but that was hard to believe. My grandparents' portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. I'm sorry, it is grandfather. Here he talks about his grandmother. He gives a description of the features of his grandmother, who is old and wrinkled for the 20 years he had known her. He was also told that she was young and pretty once and also even had a husband, but because he had not seen him in person, it was hard for him to believe. See, imagination is one thing, but again imagining a real character is one thing. For a child, it is too much to think about. Now, thinking of fanciful creatures like unicorns, dinosaurs, and dragons, that is easy for a child because that is what they see in the cartoon stories and in the comic books. So that is a different kind of world. But then imagining us a person who would be your relative, you become less related to that. It is human tendency. We tend to believe more on the fanciful things when we are younger than the reality. We tend to fixate on something and we tend to be doubtful about something. So he could not believe. It was hard to believe for him. Now his grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. It's like a wooden structure or a framed photograph put in the drawing room. A mantelpiece is something which you generally hang in the room just above the fireplace. So this was about the room and about the way he saw his grandparents. He wore a big turban and loose fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest, and he looked at least 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. As for my grandmother, being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child. That seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like the fables of the prophets she used to tell us. We'll see how he describes his grandfather here. Like he wore a big turban and loose fitting clothes, and he had long white beard. It was like any other grandfather. But again, believing him to be the sort of person who could have a wife or children, it was the same feeling that he had for his grandmother. It was hard to believe for him too. He could not connect to this idea about how the grandmother used to tell him about the cousins, about her childhood memories, and also like the games she used to play as a child, because he found these stories as illogical and disrespectful, and because it was beyond his imagination. Moreover, he thought those stories were fanciful or imaginary, just like the stories of the prophets she used to tell to Khushwant Singh. Here, children see, as I had told you, that they tend to believe the stories which are obviously unreal to them, and they try to spend their lives and spend their thoughts on that, but not on the real people or the incidents or the happenings which have taken place with the real people. It is hard for them. Why? Because life in general, or the real life in general, is kind of boring for the children. They want to expand their dimensions, and this is what Khushwant Singh as a child would do. He even thought that no, grandmother is again making stories about her real life so that I will be fancied by her existence and by the grandfather who is dead now. So we'll learn about Khushwant Singh's grandmother again in the story. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her. Old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. She could never have been pretty. But she was always beautiful. She hobbled about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop and the other telling the beads of the rosary. Her silver locks were scattered untidily over her pale, puckered face, and her lips constantly moved in inaudible prayer. Yes, she was beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountains, an expanse of pure, white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. So we'll learn how his grandmother was short, fat, and slightly bent in posture, and also her face had lot of wrinkles. She seemed so old that she had been same for the past 20 years. It's children how they take their grandparents to be. According to him, she was beautiful but not pretty. She walked around the house in an awkward way, wearing spotless white cloths with bits of rosary hanging from one hand, and the other hand rested on her back for her support. The rosary is a necklace kind of thing with beads on it, which you touch them and recite your prayers. You must have seen your grandparents doing that. She had silver colored hair and also was not neatly combed, and it was disorganized because old people, they generally do not spend their time or take the trouble of grooming themselves that much, as they depend much on spending their time praising and remembering God and also taking care of the younger ones. She was constantly chanting prayers, and he compares her to the winter landscape in the mountains, which has a peaceful, calm feel. She was a live example of a pure white, peace emitting entity. Now, it must be the same with every one of us. Like our grandparents are the home to us. We feel home when we are with our grandparents because they do not judge us. They provide us with all kind of solace by telling stories to us, by telling a solution or having a way that will make us happier and without any corrupted views on anything. They tend to level up everything. So this is how he describes or portrays his grandmother too. Like she was a symbol of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. It is true that we tend to be happiest when we are in the midst of our grandparents. Happy are those people whose grandparents are still alive. You must treasure them and the moments you spend with them. It's Unit 2. Let's go for warm up. Grandmothers are generally affectionate, protective, and caring. Read the following unit of the text and note how the writer's grandmother looked after him in their village during his childhood. You people must have driven off to your villages at some time to visit your grandparents. You must have seen your grandparents, how they live and how they care for you. The moment they see you, they'll say, "Oh, how weak you have grown," or "Oh, how thin you have become." They never consider you as fat and healthy, and they tend to make all the dishes in the world to make you as healthy or as chubby as possible. This is the same with everyone. Now let's have a look at what he has to say about his grandmother again. The text. My grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song while she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. I listened because I loved her voice, but never bothered to learn it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen ink pot and a reed pen, tie them all in a bundle and hand it to me. After a breakfast of a thick, stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it, we went to school. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. So the author Khushwant Singh lived with her grandmother in her village, and they had become good friends. His parents, they had left him with her to settle in the city so that they would work in the city, and this kid, that is Khushwant Singh, would be taken care of by his grandmother. Here, the author's grandmother used to wake him up every morning and get him ready for school, and also would recite her morning prayer in front of him, as he and she used to go through the daily chores that they had to finish it up. Now, the purpose of reciting those prayers to him was so that he could memorize it. Everything he would memorize it, but he would never try to memorize a word, whatever she spoke, but he would love the voice of his grandmother. She would make things ready like a wooden slate, a tiny earthen ink pot, and a pen. Reed pen is a pen made of wooden stick or a bamboo. Like they have quill pen, you dip it in the ink pot and then write it. So here reed pen is a pen made of stick which you dip it on in the ink pot, and then when the ink is there on the pen, you tend to write it on the paper with the help of the ink. So she used to tie them all in a bundle and give it to him so that he would take it away to the school. Now he would eat a thick stale chapati with butter and sugar spread on it. So it is a typical food of the North Indians about eating chapati with lot of ghee or butter on it. So similar was his breakfast. Chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it. So as kids we also loved chapati with sugar if there is no alternative, because we tend to have a sweet tooth when we are young. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs too. She was really caring, and also she used to have a way or have her way. Now here he says that how they both used to walk to school, and the grandmother used to carry stale chapatis with her to feed the village dogs. So there was no wastage policy, and grandparents, they know how hard it is to earn money and how easy it is to spend them. So that is why she used to take care of everything, like not wasting any single pie of food. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer. While the children sat in rows on either side of the veranda singing the alphabet or the prayer in a chorus, my grandmother sat inside reading the scriptures. When we had both finished, we would walk back together. This time the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. They followed us to our home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis we threw to them. So we find here how his grandmother would accompany him to the school as the temple was nearby, and she used to visit the temple daily, and she used to spend time till the school of her grandson would be over. So on one side he would sit on the veranda and with the other children, and they would sing the alphabet and the prayers in chorus, and on the other hand she would sit in the temple to read the scriptures, and after finishing they would walk back home together. And while walking back home they used to feed away the village dogs with the stale chapatis which she had brought away from home. They would follow them to home, growling and fighting with each other for the stale chapatis that she fed them. See, our parents, our Indian parents, we always they have a faith in the good deeds. They feel that the more good deeds we do by feeding the animals or the poor or the needy people, the more they earn good deeds or the blessings of God the Almighty. So that is a habit which is instilled in them. They think that they are nearer to God by doing good deeds, or they will be given a place in heaven for that. So this was the same case with his grandmother too. Now here he also says that no, the dogs, they used to follow them home, then they used to fight with each other for the chapatis. They threw to them. And he used to love this idea. He used to like this idea how the dogs would chase them till their home. Chase in a positive way, not chasing them to life. So we had an idea about how Khushwant Singh describes his grandmother to be, and also has a brief example or brief description of his grandfather too. How he loved the company of his grandmother, but and how they used to spend their life from home to school and school back to home. So it's your job to go through the unit again and go for any doubts you have, sort it out, and then write down the question and answers of Unit 1 and Unit 2 of the chapter on your notes. So have a good day and take care.